Okay. Excellent connection on YouTube. Seems like we're live on Instagram too. Perfecto. Nice. Stream health looks good. Awesome. We are live. So welcome to brew number 2. We're brewing with these beans over here. They are a Colombian bean and a Kenyan bean, and yesterday we didn't really get a good cup of coffee, sadly enough. And it was because our grind size was a bit too fine for the technique that we were using, which was the Kasuya, Tetsu Kasuya 4.6. So we have done some changes to the grind size and we are now ready to tackle it again and hopefully get an even better cup today. So if you haven't seen the first video where I explained this technique, you should totally check that out in the live stream archive. But we will just jump straight into it. And the big change we did from yesterday to today was to change our grind size from 40 to 45. So I'll grind our coffee again and show what the grind size is like with the brewer again to give you a better understanding of that. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. Cool. And I'll put this right over here, like so. I'll bring you peeps down on the camera so you get to see the action. Okay. Let's begin. So we're measuring 20 grams of coffee. Here we got our coffee beans. Toss that in here. I've already changed the grind size to 45, so we'll see how that is. Do a quick purge, and then so whenever I change grind size, I usually treat it kind of like a change in beans. So I kind of measured just a bit extra. So I measured 1 gram extra, 21 grams. And I just purged some of the grinds because you don't want any grinds that are from the old grind setting to come through if you have a grinder that has a chamber that has a bit of retention. And the grinder that I have has that. So that's something that I have to do every single time to make it really consistent. There we go. 20.2. 20 grams. And let's see what grind size we got here. It looks for sure a bit coarser than yesterday, which is good. That was our goal. But let's measure it. We got our brewer, we got our grinds. And what we're looking for is kind of like where the majority of grinds kind of like go through and stay. So looking at this over here, I would say there's still some bigger grinds on my hand over here, so maybe they can't really stay up here on the brewer, but I would say it's around 1,300 microns to like 1,500 microns, because I can already tell on my hand that there are a lot of grinds here that are bigger chunks that would be in the upper range over here. So there we have that grind size. So yesterday I believe we had 1003 to 1001 to 1003, but now we're up in the 1003 to 1005 range. Like so. So let's begin our brew. I'll go get my boiling water and a cup to brew in. Like so. And since we're brewing with a water temperature of 92 degrees Celsius, we need to cool down the liquid a bit. So right now it's boiling, and we will just add a dash of cold water to that to cool it down. Like so. We're at 95 right now. $92. Perfect. Okay. So we'll move this aside. That goes on. Filter gets folded. Like so. Open it up. Preheat. Just to stick the filter. And we'll toss out the liquid. Like so. Toss in the grinds. Shake it out. And we'll begin. So we'll be pouring in 5 different segments, all in 60 increments, 60 gram water increments. Nothing too fancy. Let's begin. Start the timer. Pour, pour, pour. Like so. And now we wait for the water to fully drain out to add our next segment. Cool. Now we pour all the way up to 120. And these 2 first pours, according to this technique, are all about getting the acidity or sweetness in check. So the way that they talk about it is if you decrease the segment of the first pour, you get a sweeter cup. If you increase the segment of the first pour, you get a more acidic and acid-forward cup. So that is the concept of the first segment, the 40%. And then the second part, which is the 60%, is all about controlling the strength of the coffee. Now we go up to 180. And what I kind of love about this technique is that I can kind of just walk away and come back whenever to pour the next segment. It doesn't need to be so perfect on its timings, which is pretty like pleasing for a brewing technique. Normally, you have to focus a lot on being on the ball and pouring right away and being consistent like that. But here it's more about just pouring the segment, letting it fully drain, and then whenever it's fully drained, you just pour the next segment. So we're on our fourth pour right now, our fourth segment. And I can kind of tell at this point that the liquid is slowing down because the fines that are in the grinds have kind of had a chance to now get to the pores of the filter and kind of clog it up a bit more. But it's just how it works when you're pulse pouring, because you're agitating a lot of the grinds and then you're letting it settle down again to cover up some of those pores. So it's just a part of pulse pouring that slows down the flow rate. And that's our last pour segment. What I might want to try is actually use a currant sifter to really get away those finer grinds in my grinds in here, because I still see a lot of fines up top, very similar to our cup yesterday. So I kept the filter from yesterday, and you can kind of tell that it has like this kind of like muddy top going on, and ideally you don't want that in this method. So maybe my grinder is just creating a bit more fines in the upper range, which is a shame. But I've never really explored it too far with French press and stuff, so I totally need to do that, explore a bit more. Here we got this coffee bed. Okay, and that's it. Let's stir our coffee. And bring you two back up again, like so. And like so. Okay. So we got our cup of coffee. So far, I think the coffee bed looks very similar to yesterday's cup, but I know that the grind size is way coarser down below, so maybe the taste will be really different, and that's what I'm assuming too, that will happen. But I think I might have to bust out the currant sifter for my next cup over here, because I see the fines up top and I really want to mitigate that with the technique that I'm using. So next time I'll use the currant sifter and I'll remove some fines, I think. Okay, so let's taste this cup of coffee. So yesterday's cup of coffee, ooh. Hey Jocelyn, long time no see. How's it going? But yeah, we're in totally different time zones. So some people say good morning, some people say good night, you know? But yeah. Okay. Taste of coffee. How is the taste? It's much better than yesterday's. So yesterday's was over extracted. It was raspy. It didn't have any good acidities. This time around, it has way more of an interesting taste to it, meaning acidities are there and nuances are there, and it's actually kind of delicious. And good morning to you too, or good evening, or good afternoon. Okay, let's just take a look around. So we got some comments here. So we got good morning from Caper. We got greetings from Chile. Awesome. You make great videos. Why, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I try to do the best that I can. And I had a high school friend say hi, which is awesome. She moved away, but I'm glad she's still around on the interwebs. It is indeed a Toronto morning, so it's morning for me. It might be night for some other people, but I'm glad you're tuning in regardless. So this cup over here is actually pretty good. And the reasoning here is that it has the berry-like sweetnesses that I want from the cup, and it also doesn't feel drying or super sour and intense in the acidity side. So it's kind of balanced. It's actually a bit under extracted, I think, because it has maybe a bit too of an intense tartness going on. And it could also be that these beans have a lot of berry focused tartness and maybe a sprinkle of like citrus fruit in here too. But when I did the cupping in the beginning, I tasted mostly berry focused acidities. And I think that is what I will try to make this cup into, something that's a bit more berry focused. So we need to decrease extraction just a bit. Let's read comments. Because of you, I'm giving up instant coffee. Oh my god, that's like the biggest compliment you can give anyone. I am glad that you have seen the other side of the pasture, but I'm also sad for you because now there's a whole new world to explore and a whole new rabbit hole to get your feet wet in. So it's a double-edged sword. You liked instant before, it was delicious, it hit the spots, but now you know better. Your taste buds know better. I'm trying. But going back to this cup over here, I would say that it is pretty delicious, but we need to remove some of the under-extractedness from this cup. And I also want to remove the fines that I see in the cup in over here. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow is that I'm gonna bust out my crude sifter and fully remove all of the fines, making it so that the grind size is mostly coarser grinds meant for a French press, and also this technique, the Tetsu Kasuya 4-6. And we're gonna see how that impacts the cup, because I'm really confident that having less fines with a technique like this that requires coarser grinds will make the cup way more succinct and better at like one flavor instead of having flavors all over the place. Oh, no worries. Bye, Mom. But yeah, I think that overall it's yet again a pretty good cup. I wouldn't be sad with this. So we got a question over here. Tell me which grinder to buy if you can. Oh, that's a tough one, because it really depends on what you want to use it for and your budget. But if I could say something, then I would probably recommend A Baratza Encore is a very standard one to begin with. It hits a lot of pointers for filter coffee. If you want to get something with better burrs that is around the same price range, then the Z1 Presso is really good, or 1Z Presso, a hand grinder. And then if you want to go into the high-end hand grinders where the grind quality is really good, but also costs kind of like an arm and a leg, but it will last you forever, then the Comandante C40 and the Kinu will be really good grinders. So focus really on the burrs that you're getting, the quality grinds that you get, and not so much the fluff and the body of the grinder. And the ones that I've recommended here are really, they have solid grind consistency at a pretty reasonable price, at least the two first ones. And then the two last ones that I recommended is like high-end craziness that will last you forever, you know. Okay, so what we're gonna do with this cup is to add a dash of water and see what happens. I love adding a dash of water to my under extracted cups because it really just allows it to open up a bit and hopefully become a better cup, because it gives the liquid a chance to breathe a bit, and that acidity or sourness kind of like dissipates a bit with the dash of water. And I felt like this cup over here did have a lot of acidity, and it also was a bit maybe too intense, but I kind of like that intensity. We'll see what happens with the dash of water. I like it better with the dash of water. Initially it was a bit too sharp as a first impression, and then it became a bit better, but now it's a bit more balanced and not as intrusive in the beginning. Yeah, and I really taste the berry-like body too. Like after I let the liquid linger in my mouth a bit, that juiciness from the like coffee is really just salivating my mouth, which is great. So when I'm salivating and creating more saliva, that means that this thing is like promoting saliva, which is a good thing, which is meaning that your mouth is kind of watering, which is amazing. Yeah, overall a really good cup of coffee. I would say that this one is by far like leaps and bounds better than yesterday's cup, and this is just by changing the grind size, making it coarser, which is kind of crazy. It's crazy how little of a tweak you need to do to make something really good and work. But yeah, let's write down what we are learning over here and what changes we want to make. So I'm gonna move you like so. I'm gonna bring you a bit closer. Okay, so yesterday we changed our grind size from 40 to 45, and this is our brew today. Taste, oh man, it was pretty delicious. I would say it's up over here. Not fully perfect. I feel like we could squeeze out a bit more sweetness and even body from this. Like I was tasting a lot of silkiness in the body during the cupping, but I wasn't getting that much of that silkiness today, which is fine too. But I kind of want to try to improve it a bit more. So extraction wise, it was actually a bit under extracted. So we added a dash of water and it became more balanced, but the initial cup was under extracted. And then when we added the dash of water, then it became really good and delicious, and it opened up a bit. So this means that we need to extract even less. So what we're gonna do for tomorrow is we're gonna change our let's see. We're gonna change our grind size again, but not as much. Like so. And we also want to try something with the ratios over here. So to increase sweetness, we're gonna do a 40 gram over here and 80 gram over here, because according to this technique, if you decrease the first segment, you're supposed to get a sweeter cup of coffee, and if you increase the first segment of that pour, then you're getting a more acidic cup. So we want to focus on sweetness, so we're going to decrease that amount to 40 instead of 60, and that means that the other segment becomes bigger, so that is 80. And that is the changes we're going to do tomorrow, plus add a Crew sifter. Okay, so awesome. Thanks for joining. I will be brewing more coffee all the time, and I'll probably see you peeps eventually. Like today, I'm just gonna do a lot of editing. I have 2 videos that I have coming up. One of them is just on recipes, talking about brewing recipes and why I feel like they're kind of overrated and people take them as God's words. And another one is on just compiling these live streams and making a really rad video. Yo Alan, what up? Yay, coffee. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for this constant content creation. So yet again, I've been streaming a lot on YouTube with this coffee brewing shenanigans, and just adding Instagram has not been a big deal either. Just plop my phone up there and put it on, and it's been really nice. It's a great way to start the day. I just do my coffee routine and share the love with you peeps and chat. You know, it's pretty chill. I'm totally gonna do this more often, so you'll see me on the weekdays, and we'll brew some good coffee together. And Alan, we should climb sometime soon. Just saying. But anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching today. We will hopefully brew an even better cup of coffee tomorrow, and make sure that you stay tuned for that, because we'll also be using the Crew sifter to remove some of these fines that I've been getting in the course of grind settings. So hopefully that'll work out and we'll get an even more delicious cup of coffee. But yeah, for now, have a great and stellar day. I'll see you peeps whenever.